I'm just your average, snack-loving, adventure-chasing golden dog. And guess what? My best friend Dad and I go on the coolest adventures. We've got a big black Jeep named Birdie, a whole world to explore, and, of course, plenty of snacks. Every week is a brand new tail-wagging adventure. You never know what we'll find. Hidden carrots, new friends, maybe even buried treasure. So grab your hat, pack your snacks, and come with us.
Harley and Dad and a Christmas to remember. Snowflakes drifted lazily through the cold morning air as Birdie the black Jeep rumbled down the quiet country road. Harley's nose was glued to the window, leaving a wobbly trail of fog and snout marks. "We're almost there, buddy," Dad said, glancing over with a grin. "Tom and Patti said they've been up since dawn getting things ready." Harley's tail thumped. "I bet Daisy's been up since before dawn. She's probably vibrating." As if on cue, when Birdie turned into the long farm driveway, a tiny blur burst out from behind a woodpile like a furry firework. "Harley!" Daisy sprinted through the snow, scarf flapping behind her like a superhero cape. Dad barely had Birdie in park before Harley launched himself out the door, belly flopped into a snowbank, and popped out beside her, shaking snow like an exploding popcorn kernel. "Daisy!" Harley barked. "I've been awake for hours thinking about the fun we're going to have today." Daisy bounced in place. "I've been awake for days. Patti said today is the official Christmas Eve extravaganza." From the farmhouse porch, Patti waved cheerfully, bundled in a big red parka that matched her cheeks. "Merry Christmas Eve! Hot cocoa's in the kitchen. Come warm up before the big outing." Tom stomped across the yard in his big boots with a grin and a pair of horses already harnessed to the old wooden sleigh. Bells jingled on their reins, and they puffed warm clouds into the cold air. "Dad! Harley!" Tom called out with a happy voice. "Ready for a sleigh ride? I found a perfect little tree way back in the north woods. Thought we'd make an adventure of it." Dad rubbed his hands together. Nothing like a Christmas tree hunt the old-fashioned way. Harley trotted excitedly around the sleigh, inspecting each corner as if he were responsible for quality control. Daisy hopped onto the sleigh runners and wiggled. "Shotgun!" "You can't call shotgun on a sleigh," Harley protested. "Yes, I can. It's my farm." Harley thought this over, then nodded. "This is legally binding." Dad lifted Harley onto the pile of blankets in the sleigh, and Patti tucked Daisy in beside him. Tom climbed up front, grabbing the reins. "Everybody ready?" Tom called. "Ready," Patti said. "Ready," Dad echoed. "Ready, ready, ready," Daisy yipped, practically vibrating through her scarf. Harley puffed out his chest. "I was born for this moment." Tom flicked the reins, the horses leaned forward, and the sleigh glided into motion with a soft shh over the snow. As they slipped onto the forest trail, bells jingling, steam rising from horse breaths like little clouds of magic, Harley leaned against Dad with a deep, contented sigh. "Dad?" "Yeah, buddy." "Best Christmas Eve ever." Dad smiled down at him and tucked the blanket closer. "It's only getting started." The sleigh glided deeper into the woods, the bells jingling in rhythm with the horses' steady steps. Snow-laden branches arched overhead, forming a sparkling tunnel of winter magic. Daisy poked her head out from under the blanket. "Tom said the tree is around here somewhere. He marked it with a ribbon." Harley squinted dramatically. "I have keen eyes. I'm practically an eagle." Dad raised an eyebrow. "Buddy, you ran into a mailbox last week." An aggressive mailbox, Harley muttered. Tom slowed the horses. All right, keep your eyes peeled. It's a small one, kind of crooked, but Patti fell in love with it. Patti nodded proudly. Some trees are perfect because they're imperfect. Harley gasped. Just like me! They turned a corner on the trail, and there it was. A short, chubby little spruce with one side fluffier than the other, a bright red ribbon fluttering around the trunk. Harley hopped out of the sleigh and bounded toward it, nose buried deep in the branches before anyone could stop him. Smells like Christmas and ambition. Daisy ran circles around it. It's cute. It's wiggly. It's the best tree ever. Tom and Dad got to work. Tom steadying the trunk, Dad sawing through the base with practiced ease. Harley supervised like a foreman on a construction site. Make sure it's even, he insisted. Let's not repeat the Leaning Tower of Treza from last year. When the last bit of trunk gave way, the tree toppled gently into Dad's arms. Timber! Harley howled triumphantly. The group secured the tree in the sleigh, wrapping it in burlap and tucking it beside the blankets. Patti clapped her mittens. Perfect! Now, who wants to head back for Cocoa? But Daisy's eyes sparkled, and Harley's eyes sparkled right back. Dad noticed immediately. Oh no. Tom groaned. Not the faces. They've got the chaos look. At exactly that moment, Harley flung himself backwards into a snowbank, spraying fluffy powder into the air like confetti. Daisy squealed with delight. Snow attack! She launched a tiny snowball that plunked off Harley's shoulder like a marshmallow. Oh, it's on, Harley growled playfully. Dad scooped up a handful of snow. Now, let's keep it friendly. Daisy's next snowball hit Dad square in the chest. Dad blinked. Oh, so that's how we're doing this. Tom let out a war cry and hurled a snowball the size of a grapefruit, which missed Harley, bounced off a tree, ricocheted off Dad's hat, and landed in Patti's cocoa mug. Patti gasped. War! She set her mug carefully on the sleigh, rolled up an imaginary sleeve, and marched into the battlefield like a general entering her kingdom. Chaos erupted instantly. Harley dove through the snow like a golden torpedo. Daisy ambushed everyone from behind tree trunks. Dad slipped on his own snowball and declared gravity rude and unnecessary. Tom hid behind the sleigh, but kept yelling for the honor of the tree. Patti hit Harley with a perfect curveball and yelled, 1 point for Team Cute Dogs. After what felt like 20 minutes of wild, breathless winter warfare, everyone collapsed in the snow, laughing so hard they couldn't breathe. Harley rolled onto his back, paws flopped out. That was epic. Daisy flopped beside him. I haven't had this much fun since the great pumpkin smash of last fall. Dad pushed himself up, covered head to toe in snow. All right, before someone loses a mitten or a limb, how about a snowman contest? Patti leapt to her feet. I accept my duty as official judge of snowmen. Harley perked up instantly. And so it begins. Patti took her post like a queen taking her throne, planting herself atop a small snow mound with her hands on her hips. As official judge of snowmen, she announced, I demand excellence, creativity, and no using Harley as a snowball machine. Harley, who had been gathering snow on his belly for exactly that purpose, paused mid-roll. "I feel targeted," he said. Tom clapped his mittens. "Teams, ready, set, build!" Dad and Tom immediately began rolling a gigantic snowball, grunting like two lumberjacks wrestling a boulder. Dad puffed. "This thing weighs more than Bertie's spare tire." Tom strained. "Push harder. It needs size." Harley trotted by critically. "It's very traditional, like mashed potatoes. Good, but could use more pizzazz." Across the meadow, Harley and Daisy were struggling with a snowball that was somehow both too heavy and too small. Daisy panted. "It won't roll." Harley looked determined. "Push, Daisy. Give it all the onions." When they finally got the base done, Daisy began sculpting the head with tiny, precise paw movements. Harley added 2 enormous stick eyebrows. "Behold," he declared, "Steve." Daisy nodded proudly. "Steve looks intense." Patti rang a small cowbell. "Building phase over. Present your snowmen." Dad and Tom stood proudly beside their enormous, perfectly stacked classic snowman. Harley and Daisy posed dramatically beside Steve, whose eyebrows made him look like he was plotting world domination. Patti gestured toward the 2 groups. "As judge, I will now determine which creation best embodies the spirit of Christmas." She walked around each snowman slowly and thoughtfully. "Well crafted," she said of the classic one. "Bold choices," she murmured, eyeing Steve's eyebrows. Then, just as she opened her mouth to announce the result, a soft whoomp sounded. Everyone turned. Steve was leaning. Harley cried out, "Steve?" Another whoomp. Steve listed further. Daisy shrieked, "No, Steve! Fight it!" Harley lunged forward dramatically. "He can't go out like this!" But in slow, heartbreaking motion, Steve the snowman collapsed into a gloriously messy puff of snow. A moment of silence followed. Dad bowed his head. "We have gathered here today." Tom removed his hat. "A tragic loss." Daisy sniffed. "He was a good snowman." Patti dabbed at her eyes with her mitten. "He had potential." Harley placed a paw on the snowy remains. "Good night, sweet prince." Patti cleared her throat to regain composure. "As official judge, because Christmas is the season of kindness, I declare the winner to be everybody." Harley leaped into the air. "Yes! Participation trophies are my favorite kind." Shivering and laughing, the whole crew made its way back to the farmhouse. Inside, warm light spilled from the windows, and the smell of cinnamon and butter filled the air. Patti poured steaming mugs of cocoa, topping Harley's with extra whipped cream. Daisy slurped hers so fast she got a whipped cream mustache. Tom stripped off his wet mittens and sighed contentedly. Nothing like a snow day. Dad held his mug, smiling at Harley. "And this is only the first half of the day." Harley licked whipped cream off his nose. "Best life ever." After the snowman chaos settled and everyone's mittens had thawed on hooks by the stove, the farmhouse hummed with that warm, fizzy kind of contentment only Christmas Eve can make. Patti handed out fresh cookies, Tom stoked the wood stove, and Dad settled in with his cocoa. Harley curled up on the rug, belly full, heart fuller, when he noticed Daisy slipping quietly out of the kitchen. No bounce in her step, no wiggle in her tail, just a tiny sigh and a droopy scarf. Harley got up immediately. His best friend radar was beeping. Harley found Daisy tucked behind a hay bale in the tack room, staring at her paws. "Daisy? You okay? You look like Steve after Gravity won." Daisy sniffed. "It's nothing." Harley plopped down beside her. "Daisy, you can't say nothing with that face. That face is saying sad pancake. Tell me." After a long pause, Daisy whispered, "It's Christmas Eve. Everyone's got gifts for each other, and I don't have anything for Tom. Nothing special, nothing big, nothing at all." Harley blinked slowly. "Oh, Daisy, that's the saddest thing I've heard all day, and I watched Steve collapse." Daisy's ears drooped even lower. Harley leaned in close. "Do you want to give him something?" She nodded, eyes shiny. "But what? I'm just a tiny Yorkie. What am I supposed to give him?" Harley grinned. A dangerous grin. A grin that meant ideas. "I'll tell you what you give him," he said dramatically. "Love, creativity, sparkles, chaos, joy." "Harley," Daisy said nervously, "why does this sound like trouble?" He put a paw around her shoulder. "Because, Daisy, it is." He pointed across the yard toward the old workshop, the one Tom used before the fancy stuff, the one with the crooked roof, the dusty windows, and the faint, unmistakable scent of old paint waiting to be rediscovered. Daisy blinked. "Harley, are you thinking what I think you're thinking?" "Oh, yes." Harley puffed up proudly. "We're going to make Tom the best Christmas tree he's ever seen. A masterpiece, a showstopper, a Daisy original." "Me?" Daisy squeaked. But... Harley held up a paw. "No buts. You want to give Tom a gift? This is it, and I'll help every step of the way. But the glory?" He poked her gently in the chest fluff. "That's all yours." Daisy inhaled sharply, a spark lighting behind her eyes. Okay, let's do this." They peeked back toward the cozy farmhouse. Dad deep in conversation with Tom, Patti stirring something delicious. Everyone was relaxed and unsuspecting. Harley whispered, "Now's our chance. Operation Daisy Christmas begins now." Daisy straightened her scarf with determination. "Let's make some magic, Harley." And together, the two little conspirators slipped out into the snow, scampered across the yard, pushed open the creaky workshop door, and stared at the treasure trove inside. Old paint cans stacked high, glitter jars half full, ribbons, brushes, and a small crooked little spruce tree leaning in the corner like a sad Christmas afterthought. Daisy whispered, "Harley, it's perfect." Harley grinned. "Oh, Daisy, it's about to be legendary." The workshop door creaked behind them as Harley and Daisy slipped inside, letting in a swirl of cold air and a dusting of snow. The lights were dim, but just bright enough to reveal shelves of forgotten treasures. Old paint cans, rusty metal tins, jars of glitter so old they were probably antique, and one little crooked spruce tree leaning in the corner like it had given up on life months ago. Harley's eyes glimmered. "Oh, yes, this is our moment." Daisy stared at the paint wall like she just discovered Narnia. "We should pick colors." Harley nodded firmly. Agreed. Now, I vote we start with, oh, look, glitter! He barreled toward a shelf labeled Holiday Leftovers Do Not Touch. He touched everything. A jar of emerald glitter fell off the edge, bounced off his nose, popped open, and instantly coated him entirely in shimmering green. Harley blinked slowly. I regret nothing. Daisy tried to stifle a giggle, but failed. Harley, you look like the spirit of Christmas pickles. Harley puffed up proudly. I feel beautiful. Daisy found a paint can labeled Frostbite Blue. She dipped her tiny tail in it without hesitation. Swoosh! And began dotting the tree with neat little blue polka dots. Harley grinned. Artistry, grace, genius. He grabbed a brush in his mouth, dipped it into a can marked Candy Apple Red, and zoomed past the tree, splattering streaks of red in wild zigzags. Harley, Daisy yelped, that is not controlled. It's abstract, Daisy, Harley barked through the brush. It's the modern era. They added silver handprints. Harley accidentally stepped in the tray and walked across the tree. Purple streaks. Daisy thought this was a royal touch. Gold glitter swirls. Harley sneezed mid-application, causing a glitter tornado. Straw stuck to the paint. Texture, Harley insisted. And a single random spoon Daisy hung from a branch because it jingles nicely. Daisy paused, tilting her head. What about ornaments? Harley's eyes narrowed dangerously. Ornaments. They scavenged the workshop like raccoons in a candy store. 2 mismatched boots, a pink rubber ball with no bounce left, a cracked mug that said Tom, number 1, a ribbon from Patty's old apron, a horseshoe Harley found under a hay bale, 3 paper clips Daisy declared minimalistic icicles, and a half-eaten dog biscuit Harley argued was symbolic. Daisy stepped back, breath-catching. Oh, wow. The tree was a disaster. A miracle. A masterpiece? A fevered dream of Christmas creativity. Harley beamed. Daisy, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Daisy's eyes sparkled. It's perfect. It's totally, absolutely Tom. On the highest branch, there was no star, no angel, no ornament at all. Harley whispered, We need a topper. Daisy scrambled up a step stool, picked up a jar labeled Starlight Dust, and sprinkled it over Harley's head. Harley sneezed, sending a glitter burst straight upward, and the glitter cloud drifted down on the top of the tree, setting like snow made of diamonds. Daisy gasped. Harley, that's magic, Harley said dramatically. Definitely magic, Daisy agreed. They admired their work in perfect silence. Harley nudged Daisy gently. Okay, let's get this beauty into the barn before anyone sees. And remember, this is your gift to Tom. I'm just your creative assistant / glitter cannon. Daisy smiled so wide her ears wiggled. Thanks, Harley. Anything for you, Daisy. They grabbed the tree, Harley dragging, Daisy steering, snow crunching under their paws as they snuck it across the yard. The tree left behind a glitter trail so intense that even the moon looked jealous. Daisy and Harley dragged their glitter-soaked masterpiece across the yard like 2 undercover art thieves. Snow puffed around them. The tree jingled with every step thanks to the spoon, the horseshoe, and the 1 boot that refused to stay quiet. Harley peeked around the barn door. Coast is clear. All humans accounted for. Daisy nodded. Operation Christmas Glory begins. They slipped inside the barn where a soft glow lit the straw and beams. Tom's beautiful horses lifted their heads curiously, ears flicking at the approaching object. Daisy tiptoed up to one. "It's art," she whispered. The horse politely pretended to understand. Harley positioned the tree in a clear corner, shook off some excess glitter, which immediately landed on everything, and stepped back. Daisy stared at it with a small, proud smile. "Do you think he'll like it?" Harley put a paw around her shoulder. "Daisy, Tom is going to love it. It's got heart, color, texture, sound effects. What more could he want?" "You're the best, Harley." "I know," he puffed up. "But this was all your idea. Remember that?" Daisy nodded, tail wagging so hard she nearly toppled. Back in the farmhouse, Patti was pulling a fresh batch of gingerbread from the oven when Tom said, "I should go check on the horses before supper." Harley and Daisy exchanged looks. Showtime. They trotted behind him, doing their best to look casual. Daisy walked normally, and Harley hummed "Deck the Halls," suspiciously off-key. Tom stepped into the barn and froze. His eyes widened. His jaw dropped. His mitten fell off his hand in slow motion. There, in the corner, stood the glitter-soaked, lopsided, ornament-randomized, sparkle-exploded spruce tree, glowing proudly like a holiday unicorn. What on earth?" Tom said. Daisy stepped forward, tail tucked shyly. I made you something, with the old paint, and the old tree, and Harley helped, but only a little, and it was mostly me, and it's your Christmas present because you work so hard, and you deserve something special, and... Tom knelt down gently. "Daisy," her little ears perked. "This is the best Christmas present I've ever gotten." Daisy squeaked in happiness. Tom reached out to touch the tree and immediately got glitter all over his sleeve. He laughed. "It's perfect." Harley beamed silently behind Daisy, proudest dog in Saskatchewan. Patti and Dad came in behind them, gasping at the glitter explosion. Patti put a hand over her heart. "Oh, Daisy, it's beautiful." Dad tilted his head. "It's very expressive." Harley whispered to Daisy, "That means Dad secretly loves it." Tom straightened, wiping glitter off his hat. "I think this belongs right at the front of the barn, like the North Star of Christmas trees." Everyone helped carry the masterpiece into pride of place by the barn doors. They plugged in a single strand of lights, and the tree shimmered in 1,000 colors. The horses stared in awe, or confusion, or possibly mild judgment. Daisy pressed her head to Harley's side. "Thank you." Harley smiled. "Any time, friend." As dusk settled in, Patti clapped her hands. "One more important tradition before supper. The Yule Nisse." Harley tilted his head. "The what now?" "The Nisse," Dad said. "The little barn guardian. You must leave him porridge or he'll start causing mischief." Harley's eyes grew wide. "Like, what kind of mischief?" Tom answered solemnly. "Tools go missing. Horses untie themselves. Socks vanish. Cookies disappear." Harley gasped dramatically. "The snacks?" "Yes," Patti said, "especially the snacks." Harley clutched his chest. "We must protect the snacks at all costs." Patti handed Tom a warm bowl of creamy porridge with a generous pat of butter melting on the top. "The Nisse likes things simple," she said, "and warm." Harley leaned in to sniff and instantly tried to lick the butter. Dad grabbed him mid-lick. "No, buddy, this isn't your porridge." Harley struggled. "But what if he doesn't want it? I can save it." Dad carried the bowl up the ladder to the loft, with everyone following behind. The barn was quiet and peaceful, filled with the smell of straw and Christmas. Tom set the bowl down gently. Patti placed a tiny wooden spoon beside it. Daisy whispered, "Happy Christmas, Mr. Nisse." Harley bowed his head respectfully. "Please don't take my snacks." They climbed down quietly, leaving the loft bathed in the warm glow of the single bulb overhead. On the way back to the farmhouse, Harley paused and looked over his shoulder, just in time to see a faint shadow shift near the bowl. He blinked. "Dad, did you see—" Dad patted his head. "Come on, buddy, supper time." Harley followed, eyes wide and tail wagging. Magic was definitely happening here, and he had a feeling it wasn't finished yet. The farmhouse glowed with soft yellow lamplight as everyone gathered around the living room tree. Snow tapped gently at the windows, and the smell of roast chicken drifted in from the kitchen where Patti fussed with dishes. Daisy curled beside Harley, both of them still dusted in glitter. Tom and Dad settled into armchairs, cheeks rosy from the cold and the laughter. Patti joined them and sat cross-legged by the tree, a bell-fastened ribbon tied in her hair. "All right," she said cheerfully, "it's time. Christmas Eve presents." Harley's tail thumped on the floor. "This is it, Daisy. Show time." Patti handed out gifts one at a time. Warm socks for Tom, a new apron for Patti, a mug with a picture of a chicken wearing a Santa hat for Dad. "I love it," Dad said with absolute sincerity. Daisy gave Patti a small card with paw prints. Patti nearly cried. Harley watched it all happily until he saw what was left under the tree. One crooked little parcel, wrapped in old newspaper with a red ribbon tied in a lopsided knot, smudged by Harley's paws. A little glitter stuck to the tape. Harley nudged it toward Dad, suddenly feeling shy. Dad?" Dad looked over with warm eyes. "Yes, buddy?" I made you something." Harley swallowed. "Well, I found something, and I cleaned it and fixed it, and Daisy helped with the leaves because she's better at small details, and Tom helped too because he's got good tools." And Dad reached out and touched Harley's paw gently. "Can I open it?" Harley nodded. Dad untied the ribbon, carefully peeled back the newspaper, and froze. Inside lay a worn leather tool pouch, restored to a deep, warm brown, smelling faintly of old wood and linseed oil. The tools inside, a trowel, a fork, pruning shears, had handles smoothed and painted with tiny holly leaves, and carved into the wood, faint but unmistakable, A.C. Dad whispered, "These were my dad's." Harley scooted closer, heart pounding. "You talk about Grandpa all the time, and how he taught you everything about gardening, and I found the tools in the garage, and I thought maybe you'd want them again." Dad didn't move at first, didn't speak, just looked at them with eyes that shimmered a little in the firelight. Then he set the tools down very gently. He pulled Harley into a tight, warm hug, burying his face in Harley's fur. "Thank you, buddy," Dad murmured into his neck. "You gave me back something I didn't realize I missed this much." Harley leaned into him. "Really?" "Really." Dad took a shaky breath. "This is the best gift I've ever gotten." Tom cleared his throat, his eyes a little shiny too. "That's a good dog you've got there, Dad." Daisy nodded proudly. He's the best dog I know." Harley felt warm in a place he didn't even know feelings lived. But then he glanced under the tree. Everything was opened. Everyone had gotten something except him. He pushed the thought away. Dad gave him everything every day. Maybe Dad just forgot this year. It was fine. Really. He curled up quietly beside Dad's chair. Dad reached down and stroked his head. "Just stay right there, buddy," he said softly. Harley wasn't sure why Dad's voice sounded like he was trying not to laugh. Tom stood suddenly. "Okay, folks, one last gift tonight." Harley perked up. The whole room got very still. Tom disappeared into the mudroom and returned carrying a small wooden box with air holes drilled in the top. The box wiggled. Something inside went peep, peep, peep. Harley sat bolt upright. What was that? Daisy squealed and spun in circles. "It's time! It's time! It's time!" Dad, still smiling, leaned down and whispered, "Did you really think I'd forget you, buddy?" Harley's heart stopped, then doubled, then tripled. Inside the softly glowing farmhouse, the only sound was the crackle of the fire and the tiny peep, peep, peep coming from the wiggling wooden box in front of Harley. Harley's heart was beating so loudly he was sure everyone could hear it. "Go on, buddy," Dad whispered. "Take a look." Harley nudged the lid open with his nose and froze. A tiny duckling, no bigger than a mitten, blinked up at him with round, shiny eyes, downy feathers the color of morning sunshine, little orange feet tucked up under him, and a blue ribbon matching Harley's collar tied gently around his neck. The duckling's head tilted. Quack? It was a small quack, a hopeful quack, a hello quack. Harley's mouth fell open. His breath hitched. His whole world tilted sideways. He's... He swallowed hard. "He's real!" Dad crouched beside him, smiling softly. "Tom found him by the pond last week. Patty's been keeping him warm in the kitchen. They knew you'd take good care of him." Harley whispered, He's my duck friend, the one I wished for, the one from the stars." Daisy bounced so hard she nearly slipped on the rug. "His name is Waddles." Tom added proudly, "Daisy picked the name. We saved introducing him for last because, well, this seemed like the right moment." Patty dabbed her eyes with the edge of her apron. "Oh, just look at them." Harley slowly lowered his face toward the duckling. Waddles didn't hesitate, not even for a second. He waddled forward, crawled right onto Harley's paw, and curled up like Harley was the safest, warmest place in the entire universe. Harley let out a little sigh. Oh gosh, Dad, he likes me." Dad laughed. "He loves you, buddy. He's yours." Waddles gave a contented little quack and snuggled deeper into Harley's fur. "I'll take care of him," Harley whispered. "I'll teach him everything. I'll protect him. Waddles interrupted with another tiny quack, as if to say, "I know." Daisy leaned against Harley's shoulder, smiling. "I knew you'd be a good duck, Dad." Harley sniffed. "Daisy, I'm going to be the best duck, Dad." The fire popped softly. Snow drifted past the windows. Tom laid another log on the fire, and Patty brought a soft towel to wrap Waddles in. Waddles squeaked sleepily. Harley looked up at Dad with shining eyes. "Dad, this is the best Christmas I've ever had." Dad kissed the top of his head. "It's the best one I've ever had, too." Harley gently tucked Waddles under his chin, the duck's tiny body warm and safe. And at that moment, surrounded by friends, family, and the magic of a winter night, Harley felt something he'd never felt so strongly before. Christmas love. "Best day ever," he said softly, leaning against Dad's leg and gazing at Waddles. "Best day ever."
What a great day that turned out to be! Best day ever. I can't wait until next week when we go on another adventure. Make sure you click subscribe so you can join me and like my video too, please, because I sure like you. See you next week, friends.